Hey guys, welcome to another Dragonheir Silent Gods video. Today we are on the test server again, and I'm going to showcase what I can do with Drizzt Do'Urden. Obviously he was added to the game on Friday. It's given us a bit of a chance to understand what he's actually all about. He did actually need to be buffed a few hours after release, as his Panther was dying too quickly, and there is no way to summon him back. So if we just have a look, the reason I'm on the test server for this is I do have him on my account, but it just means I've got a bit more options for people to play him with. My account's very limited in terms of frost supports and tanks, so it just gives me a little bit more to play around with. So in terms of his skills, if we have a look, his aura is all allies crit damage by 30% in all battles. This is rare. I don't think anybody else in the ice element actually has this. His passive skill is all about his Panther. I think it's pronounced Guinevere. So it fights alongside him. When they both attack the same ally, they gain Planar Ally, the buff, which gives them 4% attack speed and 4% attack, stacking up to 10 times. So as for the Panther's basic attacks, it deals cold damage to the target and enemies within 2 tiles from the target. And at intervals, it will pounce and deal cold damage to the target and enemies around them. It will always prioritise Drizzt's target when pouncing. The battle skill is Drizzt swings both weapons, dealing cold damage to enemies within range, and has a 50% chance of inflicting frost for 10 seconds. Every time he uses this skill, it will increase the number of hits for the next use up to 3 hits. And lastly, his ultimate skill, both Drizzt and Guinevere unleash a total of 6 hits on enemies within range, each dealing cold damage. For enemies inflicted with frost, this skill does ignore 15% of their defense, and for every 1% of HP lost by the target, the damage is increased by 0.6% up to 30%. See, the issue with this skill is, unfortunately, I don't think it works on bosses such as Vortex and the event bosses, because they're not actually losing HP. You're not gaining that damage bonus from what I'm aware. One thing that could massively fix Drizzt and make him a lot better is by implementing some kind of conditional damage increase for bosses. I don't know whether they'll do that or whether it's something we just have to live with, but we'll see. So in terms of builds on Drizzt, I am going to use a Gambler set. So if you look here, I've got this saved already. I was messing around with Usha as well to compare the damage, which we'll see later on. So if we just equip all of the same gear, there we go, right. So he's got 100% crit rate, 252% critical damage, and 4.7k attack. I'm not going for any accuracy because we are running him with somebody else to place the freeze debuffs, just so we can kind of maximize his damage and see how he gets on. So if we jump to some dungeons and see how he actually performs in terms of as a comparison to other heroes, I'm going to be using him with Oster, who is obviously incredibly good as a frost DPS. Oster is 5 times inspired on my test server account. So, I mean, I guess take everything with a little bit of a pinch of salt, because the damage he's going to be doing is higher than it would normally be. But I guess it does give us a bit of insight into how Drizzt can keep up anyway. So first, if we go to Grave of Venom and use that as our first test, it's nice and friendly for melee. In this setup, we should be able to keep him alive. So yeah, let's see how this gets on. And let's have a look at the damage meter as well while we're doing it. Yeah, so I mean, Oster's AoE is massive damage, so it's just not likely that he's going to be able to keep up here because he's hitting all 3 targets incredibly hard. Saying that, Drizzt should be hitting all 3 targets too, so, and he has got 10 stacks of his buff as well from Guinevere as well, so there really isn't a reason that he shouldn't be keeping up here outside of the fact that he's just not as good. So yeah, in a 3 target situation, it seems he just can't compare. Obviously, it's always nice to have extra damage options for an element, but that's quite a big jump between the two there. Now if we move over to, let's go to Heretical Ruins. That's a nice easy one that we can test as well. Let's have a look and see how he gets on here. It should be the same team. I did set it just so it's nice and easy. Yep, so we got the exact same team here. So one thing I've seen said by a lot of people is that Drizzt does not really compare to Usha, the rare, in terms of damage. It's very similar. So what I do plan on doing at the end of this video is running them both in a test scenario, both wearing exactly the same gear, and we'll see how they get on as a direct comparison. I'd like to think that Drizzt will outperform, given the fact that he's a legendary and a limited time legendary as well. But we'll have to see. And as well as that, I will, at the end of this video, I will be fully inspiring Drizzt just to run him again in Vortex as a comparison to how he gets on without inspiring, just to see how much of a big jump that is too. If we have a look at the damage meter here. So Drizzt is actually competing a lot better with Oster here. He's keeping up quite well. Basically even on damage. Okay, not so even, but it's not a massive gap this time around. So that was a relatively fast run. Not as fast as you could get, obviously 12 seconds with some of the fastest teams in the game. But with Frost, it's not something you're going to be able to get, I'm afraid. So yeah, 37.5% versus 47.6%. He's doing about 4 million damage less than Oster in this situation. 400,000, sorry. So next up, if we jump to Vortex, so Frost is not great for Vortex because of the lack of support. So I've set up a team that's going to have 2 poison heroes in just to see if they can survive a little bit longer. I don't know how much damage this will do. I did test it a little bit yesterday. Hopefully it does a little bit better than that. So the boss is going to take 40% increased crit damage. The bonus has actually changed since I tested it yesterday. So when I tested yesterday, it had 30% increased frost damage. But now we're going to be healing everybody every time somebody uses a skill. And we're going to take 40% more crit damage. So hopefully we'll see some nice results. If we load the gear I'd saved and let it run. What I'll do is I'll cut out here, I'll let you guys watch this run and I'll jump back in at the end of the run. So as the run's ending now, I do just want to say that the results here are not what I tested yesterday. In fact, when I tested yesterday, Drizzt actually out-damaged Oster in this in Vortex. So I'll just pop the results up here on the screen as well, so you can see how he got on the ice bonus week. Obviously, it's a bit more relevant to the current content we're facing in game. But as for this week, it was very close, but Oster did still get the edge. I am quite excited to see how this compares when Drizzt is fully inspired, just for those who do get very lucky or spend a lot and get a full inspired Drizzt. But we'll leave that one there for now. So lastly, I do just want to test, as I mentioned, Drizzt versus Usha in a test dummy situation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of everybody else here. I do want to keep the 5 elemental bonus. As much as on the test server I haven't actually got a huge amount unlocked, so they're not gaining a massive bonus from it. But I'm going to put Drizzt in, and I'm just going to put some level 1s in because we don't care about them. I'm keeping in Lysenia because I want the freeze from her, and I'm not going to have her using decreased defense, so it's literally just going to be these two. We're going to test it over, let's say, a minute and a half, see how they get on. Both runs will be using the attack aura from Lysenia, just to make it fair. And let's see how they get on.
close in. These two trespassers!
Frost and snow, heed my call.
Come on, Guinevere. Let's have some fun. None can close in. These two trespassers!
Frost and snow, heed my call.
Come on, Guinevere. Let's have some fun. None can close in. These two trespassers!
Frost and snow, heed my call.
Come on, Guinevere. Let's have some fun.
Frost and snow,
None can close in.
heed my call.
These two trespassers!
And there we have it. So Usha actually did do quite a significant amount more damage than Drizzt did in this test. I would like to think that something's going to change there, because it's not really right that a exclusive legendary coming into the game in this situation could be out DPS'd by a rare. But obviously only time will tell. We can only kind of report what we've got so far. The only other thing I do want to do is I'll leave this video ending with a fully inspired version of Drizzt running in the same Vortex team against Oster, just to see how he compares. And before I do that, I will just quickly break down what his inspiration bonuses do. So his first inspiration, he takes 20% less crit damage, whilst also gaining HP, attack and defense. Second is when dealing damage to an enemy, for every 15% of the target's max HP over that of the hero, the damage dealt will be increased by 1% up to 12%. The third one is crit damage and crit rate. Then he's gaining 30% attack on his fourth inspiration. And lastly, he's going to ignore 15% of the target's defense. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump straight into a run in Vortex, fully inspired, just to see how he compares now. But I do just want to say a massive thank you to you guys for watching the video today. If you are enjoying the content I'm putting out, please do make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.